Okay, hi everybody, happy Easter. This is my educational experience video. So to start off, I went to a public school in the suburbs of Grand Rapids. And my school did a great job at affirming everybody's racial, cultural background, socioeconomic background, all of the above. Like, we would decorate the school for Black History Month, we did it for Lunar New Year, we did it for Women's History Month, like, you name it, we definitely did it. It just did a really good job at affirming everybody's backgrounds. Yeah, it was just really good. Yeah, it was amazing. So an aspect of my educational upbringing that I definitely recognize as a privilege is just the amount of diversity that happened in my school, the amount of friends I got to make that were completely different from my background and how I was raised and how I was brought up. I had friends that came from different countries. Like, my senior year, I had a friend from Thailand and a friend from Italy. They were exchange students, but I quickly was able to make friends with them, and I loved that our school was just so welcoming for new kids, and just we recognized everybody's differences as a good thing and not a separation. Like, it was just very an inclusive, diverse, welcoming school and community. Something that is completely different from what everything I just said, a barrier I would have seen, was just the lack of AP courses, honors courses that were offered or given or taught. I took almost all the AP classes that were offered at my school, and I still didn't come into college with that many credits. So I just wish we would have offered more accelerated courses to help prepare everybody, but that's about it. And I don't feel like we did SAT practice at all. We did the PSAT, but it literally did not help me take the SAT at all. So, and I know some schools do SAT practice as a required course, and we didn't. So I wish we would have, because yeah. 3 things that I wish I would have learned more about in high school. For one, just because it's such a prevalent topic in our class right now, redlining. Never heard of it until this class. Definitely wish I would have learned more about it, especially because it's still going on today and it's not talked about at all. I've in high school never have heard of anything like that, but it makes so much sense. I just wish I would have learned about that in high school. Another thing would have been Women's History Month, or not even just the month, just women's history in general, and the impact we've had, and just everything women, I feel like it was just so frowned upon to be talked about for some reason. I mean, not necessarily in my school specifically, just in general. It was always the men, so much power to the men, but it was never to the women, and I wish we would have learned more about that. Another thing would have been slavery. It was such a hard topic to talk about in class, which obviously, but I feel like it was just, this is what it was, let's move on. We didn't talk about the depths into it, the hundreds of years of terrible things that went into it. We just didn't talk about that enough, and I think it should have been, because it's education, it's good education to have, good knowledge to have, so people aren't ignorant to the fact that happened. And recognizing our history is something that we need to do. So I feel like slavery was not talked about how it should have been. If I was given a chance to advocate for change in my school district, one of the things would have been, there was an award at my school that you were voted on by the whole school, and you just won it if you had 3 characteristics, which were kind, compassion, and graciousness. It's really hard to explain if you didn't go to my school, but basically we put on this whole assembly, we announced the winners. There was 2 winners from each grade, 9 through 12, and I did win that award, which so thankful for it. But I would have advocated for more different types of winners. I feel like a lot of times it was the popular kids that won it. Never once was there a kid with special needs that have won it. So I definitely would have advocated for that. Another thing I would have advocated for was our sports teams, our sports programs. We were not known for having good sports when we had a lot of talented kids, and I just think we just needed to fund our program more. One big problem that I think the American educational system faces is attendance. I know we had a big issue with it my senior year of high school, and they even started giving out little candy bags on Fridays if you were there all week. It was just attendance was a big thing for some reason. I don't really know why it was such a big decline, but attendance. Another major thing is, I think funding for a lot of schools went down. That's another issue in the American system, educational system. schools need funding, and I don't know why there was such a big decrease in it, but that's another thing. Another thing I have heard a lot about, like political polarization in the American educational system right now, like over the books that should or should not be in public school libraries, and that definitely just affects with academics as a whole, because students are having to be like have to hear about all this like political things, and like it's just annoying, and it can take away from academics, and it's just, we need to end that. I think a lot of people's histories and cultures were centered in like my education. I'm not necessarily sure whose could have been marginalized or omitted, because if that was the case, then if they were marginalized or omitted, I wouldn't even know about it. So I'm not like, I don't really know, but I do know like we talked about so many different cultures. We talked about the Native Americans who like first came, and then the white people who came and colonized. We talked about like so many different we talked about everything. My district handled conversations about race, class, and gender like very well. They were like I said, like everybody knew Wyoming was a very diverse and inclusive school, so we handled it very well. And when we did run into issues with other schools making racial remarks like about our school, my superintendent handled it very well. Yeah, it was just, we had a very good staff and superintendent and board, and it was just and the impact they had on me, obviously amazing. I do nothing but speak so highly of my high school experience, of my school, of the community. It had such a beautiful impact on me, because nobody should be treated different based on their race, their class, their culture, their nothing. And I'm a very strong advocate for that. I believe the government should play a minor role in our educational system. I mean, we do need governmental funding for like the public schools, but I just think they need to so like other than funding and there being equality, like civil like rights, research, like those are the things that the government needs to worry about. They need to worry about equal access, and I know specifically like public schools, but I just think they need to play their part in those ways, and then let the school and like the states play, like the states should be the main people making the decisions for the schools, not necessarily like our federal government. But I do think like we need the funding, we need the equality, we need all of that, but that's what they need to focus on.